Hello and welcome. We're all looking for a life filled with prosperity and harmony, right? But what if the secret to getting everything we want wasn't about getting at all? What if, as the ancient Bhagavat Gita tells us, it's really about what we can give? Today, we're going to dive into this amazing cosmic system that's built not on personal gain, but on sacred participation.
So let's just let this question sink in for a moment. What if the entire universe, the whole shebang, actually runs on a principle of giving and receiving, of generous cooperation? The Gita says it absolutely does, and that our own happiness is totally tied into understanding our part in this incredible exchange.
Okay, so let's jump right in with chapter 3, verse 11. This verse really lays out the foundation for everything we're talking about today. It reveals this idea of a cosmic partnership, a really deep symbiotic relationship between us, humanity, and what are called the demigods. These are the powerful universal forces that manage everything from the air we breathe to the rain that falls.
Okay, here is the verse from chapter 3, verse 11. Devan bhavyatanena te deva bhavyatantuva, parasparam bhavyanta shreya param avabshyatha.
And the meaning here is, well, it's both really simple and incredibly profound. It's describing this beautiful system of mutual care. When we nourish these administrators of the universe through our actions, they, in turn, nourish us. It's a perfect loop. And this is such a practical concept. These demigods aren't some distant figures. They're the agents in charge of our natural world. We please them by performing yagyas. These are sacred offerings or sacrifices. And this isn't just some empty ritual. It's a conscious act, a way of participating that keeps the whole cosmic system running smoothly. It ensures there's no scarcity, that there's plenty for everyone, all for the ultimate satisfaction of the Supreme.
So if that's the path of cooperation, what happens when we decide to just ignore it? Well, verse 12 presents us with a pretty stark moral choice.
And that is chapter 3, verse 12. Istan bogan hivo David dasyante yagyabhavidaha, ter datan, apradaya ebio, yo bunkte stena eva sa.
Wow, the language here is just so direct, isn't it? The gifts of nature, the food, the water, the air, the sunlight, it's all provided. But to just enjoy them without even acknowledging where they come from, without offering anything back into that system, is to be a stena, a thief. The Gita doesn't mince words.
So here we can see the two paths laid out side by side. On one hand, you have the participant, the devotee. They honor the cycle through sacrifice and achieve real, lasting prosperity. And on the other side, you have the taker. They ignore the cycle, get tangled up in the laws of nature, and they ultimately face the consequences. It makes it crystal clear that our own actions are what seal our fate.
But this goes even deeper than just material prosperity or scarcity. It's not just about getting stuff. Verse 13 shows us that how we participate in this cycle has huge spiritual consequences. It can turn something as basic as eating a meal into a powerful path toward liberation.
Here is chapter 3, verse 13. Yajna shishta shinaha santo muchyante sarvakyu bishaye, bunjante te twa aham papa, ye pachanti atma karanat.
Again, that contrast is just so powerful. When you eat food that's first been offered as a sacrifice, you're freed from all kinds of sins. But if you're just cooking and preparing food for your own enjoyment, the Gita says that's like eating sin itself. This really shows us the path of the devotee, the santa. For them, nothing is consumed until it's first been offered back to its divine source. This act transforms the food into what's called yajna shishta, the sacred leftovers of that sacrifice. And eating this purified food cleanses our entire existence, clearing our minds to think about liberation. It's a total game changer for how we look at something we do every single day. So now let's zoom out and see how all these pieces fit into the grand cosmic design. Verse 14 maps out the entire cycle of life, and it shows how every single element is perfectly and beautifully connected through this one principle, sacrifice.
This is chapter 3, verse 14. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anasambhavaha, yagyad bhavati parjanyo yagyaha karma samudbhavaha.
This verse is literally like a blueprint for how life works. It shows a clear, step-by-step chain of events that sustains every single living being on this planet. It's amazing. Okay, let's walk through this together. Look, it all starts with our prescribed duties, our karma. When we do these duties in the right spirit, they become a sacrifice, a yajna. That sacrifice then creates the conditions for rain, or parjanya.
And that rain, of course, nourishes the earth to produce our food, or anna. And finally, all of us, all living beings, Bhutani, are sustained by that food. See? It's a perfect, self-sustaining loop, and it all kicks off with our actions.
So if our duties are the starting point for this whole amazing cycle, you have to ask, right? Where do these duties even come from? Well, verse 15 traces this entire system all the way back to its ultimate divine source.
And here is the final verse for our explainer, chapter 3, verse 15. Karma brahmadabhavam viddi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmad sarvagatam brahma nityam yagne pratishtitam.
And there it is, the final piece of the puzzle that just snaps everything into place. Our duties, our work, they aren't just random. They're prescribed in the Vedas, the foundational scriptures. And the Vedas themselves, they aren't man-made. They're said to come directly from the Supreme.
This ultimate connection is absolutely key. Our work comes from the Vedas, and the Vedas come directly from the Supreme. So, what does that mean? It means that when we perform our duties as a sacrifice, we're plugging directly into the all-pervading transcendence. Every single action becomes this sacred opportunity to take part in the divine plan itself.
Okay, so this is just magnificent, ancient wisdom. But it really makes you wonder, right? In our crazy, modern, complicated world, how can you and I realistically take part in this grand cosmic cycle of sacrifice?
Well, the commentary on these very verses gives us a beautiful and, thankfully, very accessible answer. For our current age, the easiest and most recommended sacrifice is the Sankirtana Yagya. And what is that? It's the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. It's a simple but incredibly powerful way for literally anyone to join in this eternal cycle of giving and receiving.
Thank you so much for watching. Gyan Kosh is a multilingual channel where we share spiritual wisdom in English, Hindi, Marathi, Tamil, Gujarati, and Bengali, with more major languages coming soon. Our goal is to bring you the timeless treasures of Sanatana Dharma in a simple, clear, and meaningful way. On our channel, you'll find daily videos on Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, Lalita Sahasranamam, Devatan Karal, the voice of God, saints of Maharashtra, saints of Bengal, and the story of the divine incarnation of Adi Shankara, all available in multiple languages. If you find our content valuable, please subscribe to Gyan Kosh so you'll get notified about our daily videos. Don't forget to like, share, and spread this divine knowledge with your family, friends, and community. Let's together keep the light of Sanatana Dharma shining bright.